What if I told you that one decision made in Miami this week didn't just bench a quarterback, it cracked the foundation of an entire franchise and quietly sent a warning shot across the rest of the NFL that no contract, no reputation, and no recent success guarantees you safety anymore? Because when Tua Tagovailoa was told he wasn't starting, this wasn't about one bad night, one bad throw, or even one bad season. This was an indictment of everything the Dolphins believed they were building, and that's why this moment feels so uncomfortable, so explosive, and so impossible to ignore. Because you don't bench a quarterback making $50+ million a year unless you're admitting something has gone terribly wrong, and you don't do it with the playoffs already gone unless you're ready to confront a future you hoped you'd never have to face. A future where the face of your franchise might not be the future at all. And that's why the reaction around the league has been sharp, emotional, and deeply divided, because some see this as accountability, others see panic, and others see the beginning of a teardown. Nobody in Miami wants to say out loud yet, but here's the uncomfortable truth hanging over all of it. This benching didn't come out of nowhere. It's been building since the first turnover of the season, since the doubts about whether Tua can create when structure collapses, since the whispers that the offense only works when everything is perfect, and now those whispers are being said on national television, by former players, by executives, by insiders, and once that door opens, it never really closes again. Because now you're not just talking about one quarterback, you're talking about Tyreek Hill's future, Mike McDaniel's authority, the locker room's trust, and whether Miami is staring at a reset they can't afford financially or emotionally. And while all of that is happening, this league keeps moving, divisions are tightening, Super Bowl windows are opening and slamming shut. And suddenly this story in Miami isn't isolated. It's connected to Buffalo believing this is their year, to New York dreaming about a draft savior, to contenders and pretenders being exposed in real time. And that's why this conversation feels louder, heavier, and more consequential than a typical December benching, because it feels like the NFL is reminding everyone that stability is an illusion, and the moment you stop producing, the clock starts ticking, even if your name is on the biggest contract in the building. And here's what actually happened and why it's detonated the conversation this week. Adam Schefter reporting that the Miami Dolphins have officially benched Tua Tagovailoa in favor of rookie Quinn Ewers, with Ewers set to make his first NFL start against the Bengals. Coming off a Monday night loss to the Steelers where Tua threw his league-leading 15th interception, a loss that officially sealed Miami's elimination from playoff contention, and while Mike McDaniel said publicly he didn't want to make a rash or short-sighted decision, the action itself spoke louder than any press conference ever could. Because this was a decisive move, one that signals evaluation mode, one that forces everyone to look past this Sunday and straight into an uncomfortable offseason. And if you're locked into this conversation already, make sure you're subscribed, hit that like button, because this story isn't slowing down, it's only getting messier the deeper you go. The reason this benching hits so hard is because the criticism hasn't been vague or coded. It's been blunt, and Harry Douglas put it into words that front offices hate hearing out loud, pointing directly at the turnovers from week 1 on, 4 turnovers in the first 3 games, a stat line of 20 touchdowns to 15 interceptions, and the unavoidable question of whether that is the body of work you expect from a quarterback making $53 million a year and marketed as the face of the franchise. And beneath that criticism was something even more cutting. The idea that outside the structure of the offense, there is nothing dynamic to fall back on. No extension plays, no off-schedule creation, no Josh Allen chaos, no Justin Herbert improvisation, no Drake May-style second reaction. And when that assessment is made publicly, it changes the way everyone hears the conversation. Because now it's not just about results, it's about limitations. And limitations are much harder to scheme around than bad luck. Mike Tannenbaum took it a step further, dragging the cold reality of the salary cap into the spotlight, laying out the brutal math that if Miami trades Tua before June 1st, they're staring at a $45 million cap hit. And if they cut him outright, it balloons to nearly $100 million. Numbers so staggering they almost sound fictional until you realize they're very real. And that's when the conversation stops being about football philosophy and starts being about survival. Because the only way out involves attaching draft capital, eating guarantees, or prepaying huge portions of the contract just to make Tua movable. And when the best case scenario involves comparisons to the Brock Osweiler trade, you know how dire the optics really are, because nobody wants to relive that chapter of NFL history. Jeremy Fowler added another layer of tension by making it clear this wasn't some collaborative, long-term organizational pivot. This was Mike McDaniel's call made in the moment, with Quinn Ewers notified he's starting this week and nothing promised beyond that. Tua informed he's benched and handling it professionally but with clear disappointment. And the Dolphins themselves admitting they haven't even sorted out their full front office structure yet, let alone a quarterback plan for 2026. And when people around the league are already saying it will be extremely difficult to trade Tua because of those financial constraints, You start to understand why this feels awkward, heavy, and unresolved, because there is no clean exit, only compromises. And every compromise carries consequences. That's what makes the idea of Tua as a bridge quarterback so jarring, because bridge quarterbacks are supposed to buy you time cheaply, not cost you $50+ million while the locker room wonders who the team actually believes in, and even the conditional optimism that maybe he improves footwork, preparation, and consistency is framed as a question mark, not a plan. And when you reach that stage with a quarterback, it usually means the trust has already eroded more than anyone wants to admit. And while Miami is wrestling with identity, the rest of the league is offering sharp contrasts in real time, like the Rams and Seahawks staring at each other again with the NFC West on the line. A reminder of how quickly narratives can swing, because in their last meeting, the Rams picked off Sam Darnold 4 times, turned mistakes into points, and still watched the game come down to a missed 61-yard field goal, a game where one quarterback's errors nearly wasted an otherwise competitive effort. And now with Devontae Adams potentially sidelined, the Rams are leaning not on excuses but on the mental synchronicity between Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, a partnership described as being in its best place in years, an example of what stability actually looks like when trust still exists between coach and quarterback. On the other sideline, Sam Darnold's margin for error has evaporated, with 0 passing touchdowns in 3 of his last 5 games, and the message is painfully simple: take care of the football or you're helping the other team win. And that simplicity is what Miami no longer has, because their questions are no longer about execution, they're about direction. You see it again in the NFC North, where rivalry games are layered with opportunity. The Bears sensing blood with Green Bay battered by injuries, Michael Parsons out, Evan Williams possibly sidelined, Josh Jacobs managing knee swelling, and yet even there the conversation is about taking advantage of the moment, not wondering who your quarterback will be next year. And when Ben Johnson tells his team to go take what they want, it lands because the infrastructure feels intact, the belief still present. Then there's Tampa Bay, where Baker Mayfield deflects criticism away from Todd Bowles and onto himself, acknowledging offensive failures late in games, another example of accountability that stabilizes a locker room even during a slump, even as the numbers show Mayfield's recent drop-off in QBR, completion percentage, and efficiency, but still, no one is asking whether the Buccaneers need to bench him to figure out who they are. Kansas City offers the harshest reminder of how fast dynasties can feel mortal, missing the playoffs for the first time in a decade. Patrick Mahomes undergoing knee surgery, the playoff streak ending, and yet even in that moment, Andy Reid talks about mentality, rehab, attitude. Because the foundation is unquestioned, the future assumed once health returns, and that assumption is exactly what Miami no longer has with Tua. All of it feeds into why Mike Tannenbaum's hot takes landed the way they did. Because when he says the Buffalo Bills are going to the Super Bowl, he's leaning into a belief that this version of Buffalo knows who it is. An offense capable of outscoring flaws, a team unafraid of shootouts, even as others push back and remind us that the AFC field is crowded, Denver's defense looming, New England's divisional leverage, Houston's ability to disrupt, and yet still, Buffalo is spoken about as a contender, not a question mark. The Giants conversation reveals the other side of the quarterback coin, the desperation of teams at the top of the draft, with Fernando Mendoza versus Jackson Dart sparking heated disagreement, concerns about health, market fit, long-term projection, and the danger of undoing what little stability exists. Because tearing down and starting over is easy to say and brutally hard to survive, especially in a market that eats uncertainty alive. And that circles right back to Miami, because benching Tua wasn't just about Sunday, it was about acknowledging that the questions are now louder than the answers, that the contract no longer guarantees patience, that the system no longer masks the flaws, and that the league has moved into a phase where bold decisions are rewarded and hesitation is punished. And whether Quinn Ewers lights a spark or fizzles out almost doesn't matter as much as what this moment represents, a franchise standing at a crossroads, staring at financial handcuffs, locker room dynamics, and a fan base that doesn't want excuses anymore. Just clarity. And clarity is the one thing this situation refuses to provide. Because once you bench your franchise quarterback, you can never fully pretend you still believe the story you were selling before, and the NFL never forgets when doubt enters the room.